Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Laws That Matter. Thank you for joining us. Today, we have a great episode, some wonderful food and wine for thought. I bet you didn't know that all wine and food is not created equal and that your beverages might be filtered through animal parts. So let's get right to it. I'm super excited to have my guests today. The first one is Gina Bonanno-Lemos. Did I say that right?
Close enough. It's a tough one.
So it's great to see you again. I saw you, was it last week on your podcast? And
yeah, I think
now I get you on mine. Was it? My life's a blur.
Yeah, I know.
Gosh.
I know. It's gone fast.
So, I'm so excited to talk to you and all the wonderful things that you're doing and your vegan journey and how you've written books and webinars. So let's get right to it. How'd you become vegan? What's your journey?
Oh, wow. So I went and had coffee with a friend, and that's where it all started. She shared with me that she had reversed her heart disease and by going vegan. And then she told me that her boyfriend had reversed his diabetes. He was really bad, doing insulin shots every day and stuff. And so I thought it was, sounded too good to be true, but I was so sick all the time. I was like sick throughout my life.
And this is how long ago? How long ago was all this?
Oh, 9 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so I spent my whole life just being sick all the time. I had horrific allergies and asthma and chronic sinus infections. And so I was just miserable, and I had tried everything, or so I thought. I tried holistic medicine, traditional medicine, allergy shots. I mean, you name it, surgery. I did everything, and nothing fixed it. And of course, doctors said, oh, these are just things you're going to have to learn to live with. And
did you try medication or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did years of literally going every week, at the beginning, multiple times a week for allergy shots. I tried regular over-the-counter medication, prescription medication. I mean, yeah, there was no stone that I thought I had left unturned, but not one doctor ever mentioned trying a plant-based diet. So, yeah.
Which I've actually heard before, that, and I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a lawyer here, but that the medical profession, they're not really trained to learn nutrition or preventative measures. It's all about drugs and we're reactive rather than proactive in medicine.
Oh, yeah. And it was set up that way. If you look back at the history of how medical schools were created, it was by a lot of these mega titans like Rockefeller and people like that, who were trying to standardize the care because they had links, they had an interest, a vested financial interest in the pharmaceutical industry. So if they could standardize the care, if they could put doctors through this, essentially just a assembly line, and fill them with the information they wanted them to know and they wanted them to share. Then when they come out at the end, they are the perfect vessels to do nothing but sell their prescriptions. Yeah. And they're, so.
Follow the money, right? I think even follow the money with the meat and dairy industry right now. And it's all about government subsidies and government buyouts and bailouts. And if we would just change where the dollar goes, we could change the way our world goes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but I think we should have a bigger say in where our tax dollars are spent. I don't know. Tax dollars subsidizing the meat and dairy industry.
It is so unfair. I don't even think people realize the billions of dollars of our tax money is going to a dying industry.
Yeah.
That's an ironic play on words, a dying industry.
Yeah. Yeah, in every way.
Right? It came out and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. But no, seriously, we are bailing out. And they are dumping dairy, they are dumping milk, and the government is bailing them out so they stay in business, even though plant-based milk options and plant-based protein meat options are taking the stage. And the problem is the plant-based options are more expensive, and the subsidies should be going to subsidize the costs so it's equal and we can change the demand. One thing, I'm just going to go off course for a second. Whenever I go to Starbucks and I would get a latte and I would ask for soy milk in it, I would get really offended for the upcharge. I felt like it was discrimination. It's like you're discriminating against me because I want to have a vegan diet. And because the government is subsidizing dairy, you get to charge everyone else a lot less money for a normal latte with normal milk. I think that's discrimination, but maybe that's the lawyer in me. But
no, I agree. And, I don't think the general public knows and recognizes that if we took those subsidies away, if they stopped giving our tax dollars to those industries, the cost of meat and dairy would be so prohibitive. No one would, only the very wealthy would be able to purchase it, and which is where the term diseases of affluence came from, because long ago they were the only ones who could afford it. And that's why they were more apt to have, diseases like heart disease and cancer and diabetes. So, yeah.
Well, anyone watching who looks at you should say, wow, she's beautiful. I should go plant-based and eat like her.
Thank you.
So,
you too.
Oh, thank you. So you have a podcast, right? When is that podcast? I know I was on it, and it's not live. So how can people see it?
So it's streaming pretty much anywhere you get a podcast. So Spotify, Google Play, all the major outlets are now streaming it. And then I also, I share even more information on my YouTube channel. So they both go by the same name, Plants and Politics.
That's such a great name. I can't believe that wasn't taken.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked myself.
So, on Plants and Politics, have you brought up this topic of government subsidies? That's such a great political issue.
Yeah, I want to have, I'm going to have certain guests on to talk about it. So it's just a matter of me finding the time and reaching out.
Yeah.
My focus for the past 2-3 months has been on this other stuff and, creating this webinar that I have going on tonight. But
I want to hear about that. But just so you know, I think Vegan Justice League is a great guest for you to have to talk about these government bailouts. I can put you in touch with them, and I'd even love to have a show maybe with you and them on it, because I love this topic and it's time that things change, and we should start allocating our tax dollars to helping these farmers retrofit and become vegan farms. Like, instead of dairy, let's help them grow almonds. Let's help them. Let's take the money, these subsidies that we're spending anyway, billions of dollars, and help them repurpose their jobs. So great topic to get into.
Sustainable that will see them into the future versus something that is clearly, as you said, a dying industry. And the dollars are also used to market to us. So think about that. Our tax dollars are used to market someone else's products back to us that are literally killing us.
Yeah.
It's insanity if you really think about it.
Yeah, it's killing us. It's killing the planet. And it all comes down to dollars and greed. The reality is the meat and dairy industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And even though billions upon trillions of animals and beings are being murdered for the food on our plate, it doesn't matter when it comes to politics, because the dollar and our political pull is all driven by who has the influence, and the influence is determined by who has the money. So something we need to change. It's a David and Goliath type story.
And that's kind of the focus of my podcast and my YouTube channel. But that's why I wanted to kind of marry the two ideas, a plant-based diet and politics, because they are so intertwined. Until we get money out of politics, we're not going to be told the truth about which diet is the healthiest for us. We're not going to be told the truth about all of these pharmaceutical drugs that they try to pump into us that only serve to cause additional health issues down the road. It's all connected. And so I do have hope in the last couple months, we've seen some really big wins for progressive political, vehicles and people, and, candidates. So, and they aren't taking money from industry. So that's definitely a positive move.
Well, you're brave to even get into the political discussion right now with our political landscape. It's completely insane.
Yeah. It's a tough conversation to have, but yeah, I mean, I think I don't care, what side of the political spectrum you're on. I think pretty much anybody, other than the ones taking the money, wants money out of politics.
Yeah. So tell me about your webinar. We were starting to talk about that, and then we got off on this sidetrack. So you've been working on this. What is it? Tell us about it.
So I have a group on Facebook for any women who want to join. It's Fit After 40 Without Counting Calories. And so I created it just as kind of a hub for people to get together, kind of share their experiences and get ideas and stuff. And then I post in there and give some recipes and ideas on how to make changes, to diet and lifestyle. But I have a program that I created that's actually the ultimate whole body reset. And it's centered around a vegan diet, but there's also, it brings into the mix my other training as an integrative nutrition health coach. So kind of, it marries everything that I've been trained in as far as helping women to heal their bodies, lose weight, feel better, get better sleep, have more energy, all that stuff.
How long have you been doing these webinars, or is this the first one?
This is going to be the first one tonight. Yeah. But yeah, it's called the 3 Steps to Staying Fit After 40 Without Feeling Deprived or Killing Yourself in the Gym. So I'm sharing like all the ways, literally like spilling all the beans and tea about how I got my life and my health and my body back together, because I'm no spring chicken.
Well, you look like it.
Oh, thank you. Age definitely plays a part and takes a toll, but yeah. So I help women, get their hormones back into shape and heal their gut and all that good stuff.
So your target audience is women over 40.
Yeah, I'm one of those, and I've noticed that, most women around the same age, we all have the same issues that we're dealing with. So, yeah.
And where can they go to sign up for the webinar?
There's a link. I think you guys were going to post it. If not, I can drop it in the comments after we're done.
I think this is it. Is this it?
Yes, that is it.
Okay. And what happens when they go to this link? Is it easy to sign up?
Yeah, it's just they put in I think it's just their first name and their email address, and then they'll get the link for the Zoom tonight. So that's where it's going to be hosted. And it should be fun. And there's a free gift for anybody who stays till the end, so they make sure they hear all the important information. But I wrote a new ebook called Must-Have Foods for Women Over 40. So it's all about, different foods that help with perimenopause and menopausal symptoms.
So you're combining the nutritional aspects and the health aspects into a diet and webinar for women who are over 40 to help them in their journey of aging gracefully.
Yes.
How to age gracefully, go plant-based. So how long will the webinar be?
Probably going to last about an hour, I would say. It depends on how many questions, because I'm going to do a Q&A at the end. So it'll just depend on how many questions I get. But
Is there anything you'd like to highlight now as a teaser to sign up?
Like I said, the ebook, because you can't get that ebook of mine anywhere else. I don't offer it anywhere else. So it is specifically for people who get on the live event, and it's not going to be recorded, and there's not going to be a replay. So if people are interested, it's 4 p.m. Pacific time and 7 p.m. Eastern tonight.
Okay, so everyone got that? Sign up, go to it, especially if you're a woman over 40. And I think even if you're a woman under 40, because I'd be curious as to what you have to say.
Yeah, and it's not just about a plant-based diet, although, that is one of the pillars that I focus on with women. But yeah, I think sleep is so underestimated as a
Yeah, I
component
think
of health.
it's about the holistic approach to health, because going plant-based doesn't mean you actually are healthy. You could
Right.
easily be a plant-based junk foodie. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's about an entire process of saying, I'm going to make a conscious decision to be plant-based, and then I'm going to make sure that it's whole food plant-based options, and then I'm going to, meditate, and I'm going to exercise and get enough sleep, like you said. So I think that in general, health is defined by a holistic process, but plant-based is so important and a big component of it. But then you got to be guided on the nutritional aspects of that. See, I was lucky, born and raised vegan, because I had a mom that cooked vegan for me. So I think, when I was growing up, I had friends who wanted to go vegan and try the diet, and they had a very hard time because at home they didn't have the healthy options cooked for them. So they ended up eating junk food. And so that's what's so great about Jane Unchained too. We have all these delicious recipes and vegan chefs and the Amazon Prime cooking show, New Day, New Chef. All this information is getting out there to show how easy it is, and it's not really a sacrifice. So
yeah, and the thing, I am part of the reason why I wanted to create this webinar and my program is because I, like so many other women that I'm encountering now, thought, oh, when you start putting on weight after you hit 40 and you're starting to get into that perimenopause phase, you think, oh, well, I'll just do the things, you try all the tricks you try in your 20s and 30s that worked like, magic. They don't work anymore after you get into that phase of life. And, it's so backwards because doctors, as you said, they don't have nutritional training. They don't have training in, how to get in shape and things like that. So of course they tell women, oh, just eat less and exercise more. They tell women, oh, you have to do really hard cardio. Well, that's actually the opposite in most cases. It actually harms you more than it helps you once you're in that perimenopause and menopausal phase.
Yeah, but the impact on your organs isn't good. I know that.
Yeah, it's more so the impact on your hormones. So there's ways that it really, and that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about in the webinar tonight, is how that actually is a real detriment to weight loss after you've hit menopause, especially.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So when did you get your background expertise in all of this? Was it when your life changed? Because yeah. So what was your best resource?
Well, I actually went back to school. So I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, did their training program. And then I really, at first I was like, oh, there's not that many people going vegan, and let me just find out about nutrition in general. And, even though
I think veganism is increasing at 1,500% a year. I think that's the statistic.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was back in 2012 or 2000, or excuse me, 2002 or 2003.
Yeah, very different back then.
Yeah.
So I can say back in 2002, that's when I graduated high school. I was the only vegan in my class, and I would go on high school debate tournaments. I was a speech and debater and a ballerina, and I was always getting the special meal ticket for my vegan food. I had dinner with my high school debate coach right before COVID started in end of February. And when we sat down at the table, she said, okay, what are we going to order? I'm like, what do you mean, what are we going to order? And she's like, oh, I didn't tell you I'm vegan now. I'm like, no, like, this is crazy. I've been made fun of my whole life in high school because I was the vegan. And she goes, oh, it's so different now, Carissa. A third of my class is vegan. I'm like, what? So in 2002, when I graduated, I was the only vegan, and 1/3 of her high school class is vegan now. So that's a major trend.
Changed. Yeah,
and I don't think it's not going away. This is not going away. This is the future.
Yeah.
So
when when I let go of that whole, idea of what had been put into my head by, the mainstream, then I decided, okay, I do want to focus on a vegan diet because that's what changed my life. That's what completely turned my health around. So, and within a short
so
period
let's
of time,
tell your story, because we can't sit here and say that veganism is going to cure this and that, because we can't say that. So, but we can use examples, and you're a perfect example. So what is the specifics of your story, how your life truly changed? Because obviously it changed significantly for you to go back to school and change your entire career and want to change the world and inspire the world to become, it's like you want to share all the knowledge you got. So what is the specifics that is just that wow moment?
Sure. So right before I made the switch, because I didn't just jump in, to the deep end. I had all the excuses and, it was really just all fear-based. I just was afraid of what I didn't want to give up rather than focusing on what I could get, because I had had so many promises before. I had so much hope, with different treatments and procedures and all this stuff, and nothing ever helped me. So within literally about 3 months of going vegan, allergies disappeared, asthma disappeared, my skin cleared up. I had been suffering for like 2 decades with cystic acne that would just come up out of nowhere. I had it on my chest, on my back at times. And, it was embarrassing. I mean, you're an adult, you're like a 40-year-old woman with these, with acne. And it was
well, a lot of times acne can come from the gut of things not sitting properly. I know when I was younger and I had acne and I tried the Accutane, I tried it all, and none of it worked. It just made me sick. And what actually cleared it up was George's aloe water. I started drinking 8 ounces a day of aloe water, pure aloe water. It was like an instant overnight cure for acne. And I don't even know if that's on the internet, but so much of that is from your gut.
Oh yeah, healing your gut. Yeah, healing your microbiome and your leaky gut syndrome. And that's really the central thesis and the central underpinning of my training program is healing women's gut. That's where it all stems from. But yeah, I didn't know, for years I had sinus infections. Like literally every month I would get a sinus infection.
Dairy too. I know dairy can be so bad for allergies and infections.
The mucus the weird thing though. I was never into dairy. I've never been a dairy person. Yeah, everybody I know says, oh, the hardest thing of going vegan is giving up dairy. And I'm like, yeah, that wasn't, it was like not even in my top 10. It was like not a big deal for me. But yeah, it was more so because I had been put on antibiotics constantly. So the damage to my microbiome was tremendous. I mean, it was horrific. But I had no idea, and doctors never, ever mentioned that. So yeah, but within 3 months, like no more colds, no more flus, which I used to catch everything. I went over 3 years without a single cold or flu, which was, I couldn't go 3 months before that without catching something. So it was unbelievable. My energy level just shot through the roof, brain fog went away. The biggest change, like right before I went vegan, I went to the doctor, and because I knew stuff was going on, like I was working out so hard, but I was putting on weight, especially around my middle. I was, not feeling well. I almost passed out on the freeway, on the LA freeway. Yeah. I mean, I was literally on the phone with a friend and said, I had to stop her mid-sentence because I started to feel like I was fading. I started getting tunnel vision. I couldn't hear things. And I said, hey, here's where I am. If I stop talking and responding, call 911 and tell them this is where I'm at on the freeway. Oh, yeah. So my blood pressure had always been super low. So I'd gone to the doctor, went to have my hormones checked, and she was like, yeah, you're in perimenopause. And I mean, I was 41, I was like, God, this sucks. I'm like starting that phase already. So she wanted to do like, if she give me like a testosterone pellet, sent me on my way. That was horrible. I decided I'm never doing that again. But I went back. She said, come back in like 7 months. We'll check you and see what's going on. Make sure that, you're getting the right amount of testosterone, this and that. So I go back in. I had my blood work drawn again. I go back for the recheck. It was like 7 months later. So now I'd been vegan for 4 months, 5 months at that point, but I didn't tell her immediately. So I walked into the office and she's looking through.
And why would you, right? Because medicine's not really understanding nutrition anyway.
Yeah. And I honestly, I didn't think it made that big of a difference. I knew I felt different.
It doesn't necessarily. Like every time you go to a doctor's office and you have to fill out the form, are you on any medications? It doesn't say, are you on a special diet or are you a plant-based eater? They should start adding that on all intake forms. I bet that would help with statistics around the world.
Absolutely.
But it's just as important as disclosing what kind of medication you're on.
I think even more so, because it would help them to get you off of medications and like really help you to heal. But so I sat down, just going through my paperwork, and she looks at my lab work and she said, are you doing something different? And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess, I cut out animal products. And she's like, I go, why? Because I'm thinking, oh my God, something's wrong, right? This is harming me. Even though I feel incredible, it's bad. And she goes, you've literally reversed the aging process. She said, you're no longer perimenopausal. You're back to a premenopause state. So she said, literally, her words were, keep doing whatever you're doing because you've reversed the aging process. So that just blew my mind. I mean, it was the confirmation I needed.
My high school debate coach who I had dinner with, I told you, went vegan. She did it for the same reasons. She's late 40s. She wasn't feeling right. It was not for the animals. She never really made that connection. It was for health. Her husband had turned 50 and she was late 40s, and she said, enough. I don't feel good. I don't feel right. Something needs to change. And now they are so excited that I should tell her about this episode and get her to sign up for your webinar. But everything changed. The refrigerator changed. It was a complete overhaul of their life, and enthusiastically, because they immediately felt the difference.
Oh yeah. 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 It's unbelievable. I mean, I was so excited, but at the same time, I was so pissed off because I'm like, I suffered for over 40 freaking years, feeling like crap and with this acne and going in for injections and all kinds of crazy stuff. And you're telling me all I had to do was stop eating animal foods? It just, God, it pissed me off so much because I just thought of how much money I had wasted on doctors and treatments and, tons of supplements. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, that's another thing. Like, I've been a vegan my whole life, and I've been really bad about taking vitamins and supplements. And I get that question a lot. Like, well, aren't you deficient in anything? And the answer is no. Knock on wood, thank God. But, I mean, I've never broken a bone in my body. I've never taken calcium. When I get my blood work done, I am not deficient. Occasionally I'll go for a B12 shot, or I'll take extra vitamin D because I work too hard and I don't have time to go out in the sun and get the natural vitamin D. And if I take a couple boosts of the vitamin D, the next time I get my blood work, I'm completely within normal range. And I think that the body is meant to regulate itself. Like when we were born and the human race was found and created, it's not like we were able to go to the store and buy all of these supplements. These supplements are Band-Aids to what we're doing to our diet and into our bodies. But if you just eat healthy and you eat plant-based and you eat whole food plant-based and a pure diet, your body is supposed to regulate itself and to be healthy. We feed ourselves disease.
The only caveat I would add to that is what we've done, the degradation to our soil. And that's why I tell people it doesn't matter whether you're vegan or omnivorous, you are deficient typically in B12, D, because the animals don't go out in the sun anymore. So that's a lot of where the source of, vitamin D would be for meat eaters. They're not getting sun. They're, housed in these factory farms. You're not getting the B12 because we've degraded our soil to the point that there's no more of that healthy bacteria to be found. So even if, the animals are grazing, which typically they're not, they're, again, in the factory farms being fed genetically modified corn and soy. So
and
they're not
antibiotics, which means you're not getting the vitamins and nutritional supplements by eating them. You're ingesting 80 to 90% of our antibiotics that the FDA makes goes to animal agriculture, and that is what you're eating, which creates antibiotic resistance, which then also is detrimental to your health.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's why when I talk to people who, say, oh, well, I probably, my gut is probably fine. I don't have any digestive issues. Well, you may not feel like you have digestive issues, but if you have an autoimmune disease, your gut is damaged. Your microbiome is damaged. You will more than likely have leaky gut syndrome. And it's mostly because of the genetically modified foods that are fed to the animals, and then you eat the animals, what the animals themselves bring to the table, literally, sadly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the antibiotics. I mean, every time you eat an animal, you're eating antibiotics. And those
you're taking them. And that's what's so ironic about this COVID thing, if you want to get off track. So now we have a pandemic, which is of zoonotic origin, animal origin. And we continue to eat animals, and we can't find a vaccine, and we are antibiotic resistant to any vaccine because we keep eating these animals, which are causing these pandemics. And it's a vicious cycle because now we are so resistant that even if we cure COVID with something, the reality is the next pandemic, the next virus to be born of zoonotic origin, which the CDC openly says 3 out of 4, I think it's 3 out of 4 viruses are of animal origin. Or 3 out of 4 of new infectious diseases. I don't remember exactly. Whatever it is, it's a really high number. And we keep becoming more and more resistant because we're unwilling to change our diets.
Yeah. It's, I don't know how to wake people up. I guess we just have to keep chipping away. Like I said, I do see hope. I see that more and more people are opening their minds to it. People that I never thought in a million years would be open to hearing about it and trying it. And, even if they're not 100% plant-based, they're at least dipping their toe in the water. And that's why I think I get frustrated with plant-based people who are purists, because you have to meet people where they are.
I agree.
I meet so many vegan people who are like, oh, we, can't have this and you can't have that, and we shouldn't have all these meat substitutes. I'm like, you're being unrealistic. Do you want to change the world? Do you want to change people's paradigm, make that paradigm shift? Do you want them to change what they're doing, or do you want to turn them off?
No, they will turn them off. That I gotta say, it's for all the wonderful things that some, like PETA, for example, wonderful organization, does so many good things, but a lot of people can't handle it. They cannot handle the PETA approach, and it will turn people off. So that's why it's important to have different approaches. PETA can go for the pull on the heartstrings for the compassion, animal lovers. But then what you're doing is equally as important, because you're going to speak and reach an entirely different audience. You're going to reach those who are, there's a whole, that's like the Oprah crowd, the women over 40 you're going for. You're going for the Oprah audience. But seriously, it's a huge market. And those are people that may not be making the connection to the food on their plate in a compassionate sense, but they want to feel better. They want to look better. They want to maintain their youth. They want to attend webinars to figure out how can they maintain their youth and stay young. And the fountain of youth is plant-based. So I think it's really important, and people will wake up. It just depends on who you're talking to and what's going to wake that person up if you meet them where they are.
Yeah, you have to know your audience, and men in particular, typically what I've found is that their issue more going vegan is about the planet, climate change. That's usually the impetus for them. Whereas women, it's either the animal issue or health. For men, sometimes it's health, but typically it's not animals that gets them motivated about it. So yeah, you have to know your audience. But yeah, I always try to tell people, when you're giving someone directions, when you want someone to get from where they are to where you are, you have to know where they're starting from, right?
Yeah, and where they've been. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to give them the directions to get to where you are, you have to know where they are to begin with. And if they're someone like I was growing up in my family's Italian deli, literally having roast beef sandwiches from my family's deli for lunch at school and meat with every single meal, if there weren't plant-based meat alternatives, it would have been a million times harder for me to make that switch.
Yeah. Last week we had on the show Mrs. Jenny Goldfarb from Unreal Deli, who make the corned beef, from Shark Tank. And I loved hearing her story on how she transitioned and how many lives that she's changed. Now all these delis around the world and Whole Foods, and even Quiznos is starting to carry her plant-based,
Oh,
option.
wow.
Unreal Deli. Look
Awesome.
up her stuff. Yeah, it's totally awesome. I love what she's doing. I think that it's so important that we create these plant-based options for people, because the reality is a lot of people, aren't going to jump and dive right into veganism. They're going to tiptoe in, and they need to have access to options. And those that might go to a Burger King drive-thru and order the Impossible Burger they're not vegans. They're veg curious, and they're going through the drive-thru and they're thinking, you know what, maybe I'll try this. And then, oh my God, it's good. Then they start going and asking just for that. And then before you know it, Burger King can't keep in stock the plant-based protein option. And that's what's happening everywhere. That's also happened. I remember last summer I was in the Hamptons at this restaurant called 75 Main on Main Street, like the most popular restaurant, all American food, burgers, fries, whatever. They had the Beyond Burger on the menu, and I ordered it and it was out of stock. And I was like, what do you mean it's out of stock? They're like, we did it as a test for the summer and it's flying off the menu. We cannot keep it in.
And I think too, it's because people realize they feel better after they eat it. I know so many people that even if they love burgers, they get a stomach ache. That used to be me. I rarely, even before I went vegan, I rarely ate beef, maybe once a month at the most. But, and it was for that reason, because I literally would get a stomach ache. I didn't feel well. I mean, my body was telling me, it was like flashing red lights telling me, stop, you're doing the wrong thing. But yeah, so many people just think, oh, well, it was this that was on it, or it was because I ate that too, or, they make excuses without realizing, no, you're literally putting a poison in your body. So, yeah.
So, you became vegan for health. That's how it started. But there's a lot of reasons to.
I will say I thought about it for my health. I really was interested and curious about it for my health, but it was the animal cruelty aspect that put me over the edge, that made me go, that's it, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm being a total hypocrite as an animal lover. I will not do this for another day, no matter what it takes. So that was the real impetus.
Yeah. I agree. So I was raised vegan by my mom for health reasons, because she thought it was healthier. And at 5 years old, my parents divorced and I had to split my visitation. I made the ethical choice and the moral choice that I don't care about my health. I don't care if when I'm at my dad's house, I don't have the same, mom's cooking. I'm not eating this. So for me, it was also the same animal, moral, ethical choice. But now, I think it's a holistic choice. It's all of it. It's health, it's environment, it's animals, it's spirituality, it's being in alignment with all that is and understanding the connectedness and the interconnectedness of all that we are with this planet. And I think it's so much about man's nature and human's nature to Mother Earth. And so much of what we're experiencing in our world and our planet with the environment, with the pandemics, is Mother Earth rebelling.
Yeah. I agree. I've said that for months now, is that, there's just way too much happening at one time for there not to be a reason behind it. I
think it's because we're not listening. And I hear an echo. Do you hear the echo, or is it just on my end? No? Okay.
I don't hear anything.
I think it's because we're not listening, and if we don't listen and wake up, we're going to be forced to listen. We're not going to have a choice.
Yeah. I've told people you'll go vegan one way or the other, because at some point everything is going to collapse to the point where you literally can't raise animals for food anymore. There's no more land, and it's too hot, and for whatever reason, it's going to happen.
What do you make of this comment? Middle age for vegans is 77.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping, I'm praying. Yeah, I think, your biological age, of course, is very different than your actual age, or it can be if you're doing the right thing. So, yeah, my goal is at least 100. I want to be like the people in the Blue Zones book. So.
Yeah. So what about wine? What's your take on wine?
I personally don't care for it. I mean, for me to drink wine, it has to be almost like grape soda. I just don't have a taste for it. But everybody I know loves wine. So yeah.
I always think that that's such a misconception, that people think, oh, you're vegan, so therefore you don't drink wine. Because the reality is, so many vegans out there, they want to have the same delicious options at restaurants or at wherever they go, and to know that it's vegan. And we also need to have vegan restaurants with alcohol licenses, so vegans can go and have the same fine dining experience with good food and delicious vegan wine. And a lot of people don't realize that wine is filtered through animal parts. Did you know that?
Yes, it's in glass. Yes.
Isinglass, fish bladder, gelatin, egg whites. Yeah. So before I go to the next segment of the show, I want to give you an opportunity to say any final words. Tell everyone to sign up for the webinar again tonight. Here's the link.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, and again, it's more than just about going vegan. There's so much that I recognized I was missing after, I started having this change of life. So superfoods and things that absolutely make such a difference. So.
Okay, Gina, thank you. And where can everyone find you?
They can find me at 360 Health Connection on Facebook, also Plants and Politics on Facebook and YouTube. Again, the podcast is everywhere, so anywhere you get your podcast, you can download it and stream the episodes. So yeah, LinkedIn, same, actually under my name, Gina Bonanno-Lemos on LinkedIn and Instagram.
And then they can also see our segment that I did with you on your show, and it's on the BeVeg Facebook page. So, yes. All right. So everybody should sign up for that webinar, especially if you're a woman over 40 and you want to transition into the plant-based lifestyle and figure out how your health and your youth can be preserved through healthy, nutritious game plans. Absolutely. Right. So, all right, Gina, thank you. I'll talk to you soon. It's great to see you.
You too. Take care.
You too. Bye. So now we're going to move to the next part of the segment, which is vegan wine. I bet many of you don't realize that wine might be made with animal parts. Yes, that's true. That vegan wine is actually a thing, and it is a thing that Forbes has said is one of the top trends to look out for. So our next guest is a vegan winemaker from Priam Vineyards. Hi, Ruaan. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Hey,
thank you, Carissa. Nice to be talking with you as well. Well, so, maybe we should just say to the guys, yes, you're hearing correctly. There is an accent. I am from South Africa originally, so take note.
So, okay, so what made you're a winemaker, what made you realize that vegan wine was actually an important part of your winemaking journey?
All right, Carissa, I think before we just jump straight to that question, maybe I'll give a little bit of history about myself, and then I'll talk maybe a little bit about Priam Vineyards itself and what Priam Vineyards stand for as we moved into getting vegan certified for the wine. So I've been making wine for 14 years. I studied at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology in South Africa, where after that I moved to study solely wine at Elsenburg, which is one of the South Africa's oldest agricultural universities. I think it was founded in 1898, so that means it's 122 years old. And about 80% of South Africa's winemakers, as well as viticulturists, graduated from that university. And so I have many good winemaking mentors. If I could just name a few of them, it's Jacques Wenzel from Black Elephant Vintners in South Africa, Bertus Fourie, Lisel Gerber from Boschendal, and here in the US, when I worked for Kendall Jackson, as well as Mary Edwards Winery in Sonoma, Fritz Meyer and Mary Edwards herself. So taking from all of those winemakers, you know, I got to making my wine style, as well as maybe in the vineyard, that is important as well, is a simple little word, and that's kies, spelled with one S. So keep it simple, and so keeping it simple in the vineyard as well as in the winery. So starting with the grapes outside. Let's start with the soil. Like the lady just said before, you know, animals and things are kept inside. They are not exposed to the sun. And, you know, the same goes, yes, we grow grapes outside, but what else is going on in the soil? Because, you know, you need a good soil, a healthy soil to produce good and healthy plants, and in return produce good and healthy grapes. So at Priam, for example, we do use different types of crops in between the vineyards and the rows, and they get alternated every other year, annuals and perennials. They get mowed down and worked into the ground, and hence they'll decompose and releasing lots of vital nutrients and macronutrients into the soil. If I go anywhere on property and dig 4 inches into the soil, I find anything from 5 to 7 earthworms. And so everybody knows earthworms is real good for the soil, and that's covered in our entire property. But let's move to Priam itself. So Priam has been in business for 22 years. I think we were founded in 1998 by Gloria Priam, and then about 6 or 7 years ago, James Melilio joined her as business partner, and the business since Jim got here really, you know, grew exponentially. We more than doubled our production as well as sales. And so in the 22 years of business, Priam became the first solar-powered winery in Connecticut. Priam is also a natural bird and wildlife habitat certified and registered by the National Wildlife Federation. We do have 2 wetlands on property as well, with little critters and animals living there. So, you know, the things we do in the vineyard needs to be sustainable, because it's literally right next to the vineyard. So we don't want to use unnecessary poisons and Roundup and things like that. So maybe use a little bit more manpower, and yes, longer days to, you know, keep weeds under control and things like that. Which makes things sometimes a little bit more difficult, but at the end of the day, there's some great satisfaction in knowing that you are environmentally friendly, if I could say that.
I think it's great that, you know, Priam has got such a direction when it comes to sustainability and veganism, and I think that it's important that everybody realizes that, you know, wine might not be vegan, and I think a lot of vegans don't always know that.
Exactly.
It's an education.
So that took me about 1.5 years to do some research because I wanted something a third party to validate the things that we are doing at the property, as well as the wine we are making, to be, kind of like a seal of approval or certification, that the product that you are having at the end of the day went through a rigorous audit and complied with numerous laws, both nationally as well as globally. And so that led me to BeVeg. And so we discussed a couple of things, and then it took some convincing for Gloria and Jim to join the cause. And I said, give me 1 year and I will prove to you that this is a necessity, and that it will benefit the winery in a long run.
So a lot of people ask, is there a compromise on flavor if the wine is vegan?
Not at all. So I only use 6 products when making wine, and so that would obviously be the grapes. So grapes, yeast to turn the sugar into alcohol, bacteria, and the kukusahuni, if you needed to know, and those are used sometimes in the whites, like maybe the Chardonnay, a little bit in the Riesling, and they convert malic acid into lactic acid. As an example, if you bite into a Granny Smith apple, it's nice and tart. And if you are maybe, I know we're talking about vegan, but just to give an example, if you're drinking a glass of milk, that milk is smooth and it's not sour tasting, but it does have acid inside, and that's called lactic acid. So the bacteria does the same job in the wine, turning the malic acid into lactic acid, making the wine a little bit more palatable and not tart or sour tasting, especially for red wine. So grapes, yeast, bacteria, maybe a little bit of enzymes, and then when it comes to fining or stabilizing the wine, I either use a pea protein or bentonite, which is a natural clay. The ladies that go
I didn't
to
know
the spa,
that pea protein could be used to stabilize as well.
So it will take a little bit longer to settle out. If you use the bentonite afterwards, the process is a little bit faster, depending on your production deadlines and things that need to be ready to get out onto the market. And then obviously a little bit sulfur, as we are not organic. I think, even though to the vineyard side, but come to that. So people shouldn't make a misconception on organic wines versus maybe vegan wines as well. I think, or sustainable wines.
A lot of people think it's the same thing.
Yes, it's not organic. Organic, when it comes to, and the only reason why I have not moved to that is because I would prefer a little bit of sulfur in the wine, so I can, to keep the wine fresh and stable, and that you can put the wine away for 10 years and 20 years, and it's still going to be good when you're going to open that wine up 10 or 20 years later. I can't do it that much as when it's organic. But anyway, so after we got the wine vegan certified, our local newspaper, yes, with BeVeg, and our local newspaper actually picked up the story, which is the Hartford Courant. And after that, I think Vegan World and Veg World picked up the story as well, and then that went everywhere. We also changed our shipping for wine, because then the demand started growing locally. We had people just phoning up, asking numerous questions about, so what makes the wine vegan? I did not know all wine is vegan, and so I made a little pamphlet for the guys in the tasting room to give and to show
I'd love to see that pamphlet. Yeah,
and to show them that these are the certain things that are used in wine, and it's not necessary.
So those things don't make it have a better flavor.
So it doesn't impact the wine at all. Maybe in fact, because there's not as much fining agents used, the wine is more pure to the original after fermentation. So there's no loss in flavors or tannins and things like that. So yeah, I want to say maybe the wine tastes a little bit more pure, but
right. Well, I think
yeah.
you had said once before, if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said that the quality of wine is based on the quality of the grape, and that the
Correct.
less that is tampered with the grape, the finer the wine. The finer the wine is not based on it being fined; it is based on the quality of the grape, and therefore,
Exactly.
fine wine is based on the purest form of that grape. So, therefore, a
Correct.
vegan wine should taste better, not be
Exactly.
diluted in any sense, because it's more pure.
Correct. And so also maybe people who are watching now and don't know, so when we do certification or when I do certification with BeVeg on the wine, um, it starts from the vineyard, everything that's been used, coming into the winery, all products that's been used, the quantity that's been used, and together with that is the MSDS, so fancy word for material safety data sheet. Um, and so these papers are coming from the factory, from my supplier for the yeast or the bentonite or the enzymes. And those guarantee, when tested in the laboratory, that there is no animal byproducts used in manufacturing that product. So there's just another form of certification in producing the wine. The next step we got to do was on that, I'm going to brag, a little bit. So in mid 2019, Priam Vineyards got selected by one of the world's top 250 sommeliers, S. Margos, based out of Europe, and to be featured in his book called Hidden Gems of America. And Priam Vineyards is the only Connecticut winery inside the book, as well as don't quote me on that, but I believe that we are the only BeVeg certified winery inside the publication as well. Then we got reselected for the 2020 and the 2021 national edition. And so inside there, and once again, we are the only Connecticut winery and the only vegan certified Connecticut winery to be hand selected by St. Margot's. And yeah, to be featured in that, I think you can grab it from Amazon. I'm going to come a little bit closer so that you guys can maybe see. So it's called, there we go. So it's Hidden Gems of America. And so this is the 2019 edition, and then there's a 2020 and 2021 edition that covers a little bit more, not just wineries from the East Coast, but wineries throughout the US. So it's a good book for the coffee table. If you are planning a little trip after being locked in your house for extended period of time, maybe pick one up and visit those places along the side.
I want to highlight something else that I know you've done recently that I saw in the news. You did something with your wine and donating to an animal cause, right? A farm sanctuary,
Yes.
or can you tell us about that?
So that was for the Connecticut Draft Horse Association, and I think we're having our second event with them either this week or maybe down later in the month. We're having our second awareness in that, and raising maybe a little bit more funds to rehabilitate the horses.
So it's raising an awareness, and you're bringing vegan wine as part of the awareness raising, and then the part of the proceeds goes to horse rescues?
To the horse rescue, yes, ma'am.
How nice.
Yes.
How nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I know you said that. Another thing, hence I have some of the wines here. I think I only have about 8 of our wines here. There's 14 on the portfolio. Like I said, we ship to 48 states. So, and there's tons of more information on the website, which is www.priam, Priam, vineyards.com, or just type in best winery in Connecticut. We'll probably pop up there, seeing that we are Connecticut Winery of the Year for 5 years running.
And you have some award-winning wines here as well.
Yes. So in the last 4 years that I've been here, we got 54 medals, or just over 54 medals, and that includes several gold, double gold, best of show. also voted in Connecticut Winery of the Year, both by New York International Wine Competition and the Berlin International Wine Competition. I think something else we've done as well was with a little bit on branding to create a little bit more awareness to the public, because it's physically not possible for me or any of our tasting room associates to be in a restaurant or to be on a shelf in the package store to let you know, hey, there's something special about this wine. And so, and I'll move closer to show whomever's watching. We did put the BeVeg logo onto our labels.
Yeah, bring that closer. Let's see it.
And then also I thought, not everybody's looking always at the label. So how can I catch you? How can I catch your eye a second time around? And so I've also put it on our cork.
Here, come around. Let's show that. Yeah, this is what the cork is here, and then yeah.
All right. So let's wait for the camera.
So
that's a Salmon River Rosé, and so there we go. Let's flip it that way around. There we go. So we do carry the BeVeg vegan logo on all of our wine labels, and also when you pull the cork from the bottle, it also shows carrying the vegan verification logo on the cork, and then just the Priam branding on the other side. So maybe you guys see this cork looks a little bit different to a normal cork you might pull out of a bottle. Just fitting with the whole brand for Priam and sustainability, we moved away from the conventional corks made from the cork trees to a cork that is made from sugarcane husks. And
and it's also vegan. We confirm.
And so yes, and so also none of the sugar factories where they are sourcing this from is using the bone ash to help color the sugar to make it a little bit more white. Yes, and there's no carbon footprint on the production on these corks as well, if you want to know.
Right.
That.
So and not only are you certified vegan, but the BeVeg trademark is global in all 6 continents. So if you are beyond the 48 states and you go into global distribution, that trademark is still good.
I wish to tap that market sooner than later. And I think it might be a little bit more easier thanks to you and and your representation worldwide. So yes, I actually have one surprise as well, which I'll be sending you, and pretty soon the box. I'm probably sending out the box out later today. So you see a nice champagne bottle here. So not a champagne, but a sparkling wine. It was my first sparkling wine.
Great. So you have a champagne now. So you have a champagne. This is great for the new year.
Correct. So my first sparkling wine made here in the US, and off the bat we took 91 points as well as a gold medal at the East Midwest Wine Coast competition, and it's also carrying the BeVeg logo. And the glass, the wine is out of Europe, and it's made out of 60% recycled glass as well.
How nice! So really sustainable. I love how conscious your vineyard is.
So yes, that's
very awake.
We try.
So if anyone wants to order your wine, they have to go to your website, or where can they find you?
Yep, they can just go onto the website, priamvineyards.com, and click our wines, or visit the Facebook page, Priam Vineyards on Facebook. And I did put up a little shop now button, which will take you directly to the website section where we have all of the wines. And I mean, there's something for everyone. I do have a dessert wine. That one took double gold and best of show. I have a semi-sweet rosé. I have a semi-sweet white wine. I have a dry white wine. I have a Riesling Gewürztraminer, Provençal-styled rosé as well. Then obviously the new release, the bubbles. I have a Blackledge Red, which is our Pinot Noir styled wine. It's the closest I can describe that, because I'm using a grape called St. Croix, which is a hybrid and grown extensively here on the East Coast. Think of it maybe as Zinfandel for California, and we have St. Croix. And that which brings me to our one of our flagship wines, which is just 100% St. Croix. I did put this in bourbon barrels into Buffalo Trace, which is the U.S. oldest distillery as well. And they spent some time in there, and yeah, so bourbon aged St. Croix, doing really, really well. I think I might only have about 15 cases. I'm just eyeing where the pallet is sitting in the warehouse. I think I have about 15 cases left, and then next release will only probably be next year, March or April.
And which one are you sending?
Try it.
Yes, yes. And which one are you sending in the mail?
Clarissa, I think I'll probably send you one of each in the mail.
Yeah.
Just so that we can, yeah.
So I can taste them all. Vegan quality assurance. Vegan quality assurance. We also have to make sure that they've been added to our vegan app. So make sure you check that and let us know if we're missing any of the brands. That the BeVeg app is a free app in the App Store, and it is a searchable database of vegan alcohol, vegan beverages, vegan wines, vegan beers, vegan liqueurs. There's also a feature on there where you can claim your profile. Maybe Ruaan, you could work with me on that. We're updating that feature. We want wineries to be able to claim their profile, add pictures, make the app more interactive. Also add a link of where people can buy it to your website.
That sounds great.
Just check the app, make sure that your app has all the beverages, and anyone who's watching can also download the app if they want some guidance on what's vegan and what's not when they're in a restaurant or in a store and they're feeling lost. And hopefully if they go visit your vineyard, you have the BeVeg sticker on your tasting room window.
Oh, yes, it's in the window in front when they come in. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And BeVeg is now the only accredited vegan certification trademark in the world. That means that it is now recognized by ISO standards 17065, which is International Standardization Organization Standards, which means that our vegan certification mark is recognized by the World Accreditation Community under the International Accreditation Forum, which is a very big deal that now veganism is being considered and taken seriously, like organic, like kosher, like gluten-free, like non-GMO. So this is the next movement. This is the time. And Ruaan, you really led the movement in Connecticut, and part of that, you were one of our first vineyards. I think you've been with us a few years now, and so we're grateful for that, and we'll certainly continue to keep you involved in any of our vegan promotional opportunities, because you're so behind it. You're so behind it. And for anyone who's watching, when Ruaan went through the application process, he was very detailed and very sure to make sure that he was answering all the follow-up, which is important as a winemaker. He wasn't just there doing the marketing aspect of, I want the vegan label because I want to say I'm vegan and I want to make more money.
Yes,
he was very the way he dealt with his application is the way he's dealing with his wine. That his wine is being dealt with care, because your application was dealt with more care than almost anyone else I've been through. You took such care and such detail in filling it out and in ensuring every ingredient and every supplier and every process and every potential process problem was disclosed. So we really thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. Anything else? Any final thoughts? Any final words? Follow you on social media?
Yep, they can go and join. They can actually, when they're visiting the Priam Vineyards website, there is a section they can join our newsletter. We send out a newsletter twice a month. Either they can join us on Instagram or on Facebook. No TikTok just yet. I don't have the time for that. But
you send us a TikTok video. We'll put it on our TikTok account for send us a video.
Yes. We'll get around to that in some time, I hope. And yes, and then maybe if there's other winemakers watching, if your process already is to an extent that you are not using any animal-derived products, join up with BeVeg. It's a few $100s a year. You don't have to certify all of your brands, but you can do do some of them.
Yeah.
And it's not just for that though, but you do see it in the business aspect as well. About 15% of the walk-ins we have in the tasting room is here just because the wine is vegan. We have people signed up onto our wine club just because the wine is vegan, as well as people ordering wine all over the state, and with comments being say, hey, I'm so glad I found a vegan-friendly winery. Yes, because they have a little bit of the education behind that already, or they're leading that lifestyle. So it's just adding to that. And even though for the guys that not vegan or don't really matter that much, we're carrying that certification to in a sense to keep me and keep Priam Vineyard accountable for delivering a world-class product, and to know that what you're getting is of highest quality, and you can drink it with and enjoy it with a surety.
Yeah. And I think whether you're vegan or not, you want to know what you're drinking and what you're putting in your body. We live in an age of transparency, and alcohol in general has almost zero disclosure requirements with ingredients and nutrition facts. So
correct.
When vineyards, wine, spirits, and liqueurs are willing to go through the certification process, you can be sure that if you see the BeVeg symbol or the trademark on the bottle, that they have disclosed everything to a third party. So even if it's trade secret, even if it doesn't need to be disclosed to be on the grocery store shelves or for sale, the reality is someone has vetted it, someone has ensured that those ingredients are vegan, no animal origin, and it really allows the consumer, which 80% of consumers who buy vegan products are not vegan. It allows the consumer who is label conscious to buy and purchase a wine and enjoy it with confidence. And hey, who doesn't want to have a nice glass of wine and just enjoy it?
Exactly. Oh yeah. So enjoy wines because it tastes great, and then also enjoy it because of all the other reasons there is behind it. Yeah.
All right, Ruaan. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on your vegan certification. And everyone should go to your website and taste out all the different flavors. And for New Year's, we will have to definitely circle back for the champagne that you've launched, the vegan champagne. And we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and have a great day, Carissa.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
And thank you everyone else for joining us. This is The Laws That Matter. I'm Carissa Kranz, and we are featuring our BeVeg certified vegan brand of the week.